Ground Zero Lounge. I am Aaron Duran, in case you were looking for Dr. Larry Johns. He is stranded in Beaverton. What? Oh, you guys have started already. I've had one beer, I'm not working the poll yet. Thank you very much. I am out of beer. So anyone who was hoping for a dissertation on French philosophy, you're going to be sorely disappointed because I know nothing about that. What I do know is that if you missed A Day Called X, the Longbaugh Film Festival a couple weeks ago, you have one more chance this Friday at the Ross Island Grocery at 8:30. They're going to be showing the film. Clyde Lewis is going to be doing another Q&A session. I mean, if you missed it, you missed quite an event because thank you. There's going to be burger cake with which your heart will never forgive you for. Your veins and you'll be dead within 2 bites. So you're going to want to come to Ross Island Grocery this Friday at 8:30 to see A Day Called X, eat some burger cake, talk to Clyde, see people on the pole, see some Klingon karaoke, see what Ground Zero used to be like.
Hold it.
Well, not on the movie, right? Not live.
There's none on the movie either.
Sons of I haven't seen it either. I suck. I'll be there Friday at 8:30 as well.
Yeah, there is a Klingon on the screen, but there is no Klingon.
There is a Klingon, probably chain smoking. Anyway, I have no idea what the class is going to be talking about tonight. It's just, it's even odds between imploding bumblebees, microwaves of death, or UFO spotters crash landing in the Cascade Mountains. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him out, the star of Ground Zero Lounge, Clyde Lewis!
Last week it was the ground of Ground Zero, this week it's the zero of Ground Zero. What the hell is it this week?
I don't know. Use the mic that you...
Oh, sorry, okay. You want to sit on the short mic? Well... Or you want to sit and have a beer?
I'm going to go sit and drink.
Okay, go have a beer.
Thank you.
Go have a beer. Thank you. Aaron Duran, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Aaron.
Producer of Ground Zero, news of Ground Zero. You stuck with me all these years. That's pretty scary. Well, it's been a great night tonight. It's been beautiful outside. I'm very happy with how everything was warm today. God, it was really warm today. Especially when I'm so used to the cool. Luckily, my allergies are gone and I got a voice tonight, so I'm very happy about that. God, there's so much to get at. Does anybody want to shout out a topic tonight and just let me just get started? I mean, I could just go through a Rolodex of things on my mind right now that I could just express to you. Last week, we had our little, just a short view of the Virginia Tech killings, the massacre that happened at Virginia Tech. We did a thing called Clyde Was Right. There's a disc. You still have that disc, Stevie?
I have.
Where, you have the Clyde Was Right disc?
No.
You don't have it with you? You don't?
In my house.
Oh, you have it at your house, so you took it. Okay. So we had a little thing called the Clyde Was Right CD that was played at this venue last week. Basically what it was is it was me ranting about how the electromagnetic fields in the world are just basically screwing with us, and that the way you can tell is the weather's all screwed up, the bees are dying, the birds are dying, and I said the next thing that'll happen, just to show you that they're fucking with your head, is that someone's going to shoot up a school. And it happened. And it was really creepy that we played. In fact, it creeped me out just listening back to it. But what creeps me out even more is how many of you were here last week by applause? Now, do you remember what I said the next news story would be? Does anybody remember what I said the next news story would be where you'd get us all worked up about it?
Tainted human food.
Tainted human food, right? How many people have read the story? Well, actually, it was read today on the news. I heard it on the news today. But it actually was in the news on Sunday. 400,000 pounds of beef has been recalled because of E. coli contamination. How many people have heard that story? A few of you?
No, I heard about the pork.
Oh, you were using pork? What?
No, this was the pork that had gotten the same.
Oh, you just come up to the microphone because we're videotaping tonight. I'd like to thank Robert for coming in tonight. He's going to put us on Google. Give him a big hand. He comes here all the time. We love him.
No, I hadn't heard anything about the beef, but I did hear about the pork that had the same, that same tainted protein that came from China.
Oh,
it was
really?
going into the pet food.
Really? So he went into the pork. See, I didn't read this story. I just read it. It's 400,000 pounds of meat that was taken back And we were telling you that, you know, you see the cat food, the dog food getting tainted, the peanut butter getting tainted, the vegetables getting tainted. I said, it's gonna come into your food.
It was pork that come out of California and New York, and they went to great lengths to say, none of this come to Oregon. Until the last news item I heard where some was found here.
They did find it in Oregon?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So there you go. See, when I start laughing nervously is when I start predicting things that come true the week later. And there's one other thing I'm going to point out to you as well that we talked about. Go ahead, Bob, what do you have to say?
Well, just going to say on that same story, I heard today that beef had come onto the market a year ago. And most of it was sold to restaurants, and the vast majority has been eaten already. And they said for consumers to check old frozen hamburgers in their freezers.
Or do experiments with their poop.
So it's basically overdone.
You know that's what you do. When you get that E. coli shit going through you, they want you to do experiments with your poop. You go into the doctor and say, oh my God, I'm feeling cramps. I say, shit in the cup. And you're like going, what? Yeah, you have to poop in this cup. Well, what do I do after that? Then you add chemical A to chemical B, and then you mix it with a toothpick. Screw you, I'm not no fecophiliac. I'm not gonna play with my shit. I did that when I was 4, and it scared the children across the whole damn, block. No way. No, I'm not gonna play with my poop. But they want you to because that's how full of poop they are.
Just one other thing, as far as that wheat gluten from China.
Yeah.
I know a couple weeks ago I was reading something where they said that they sold all this wheat gluten here, and some of it was probably put into products for human consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And the FDA has no idea where that stuff went, or they've concentrated on the pet food, but they've mentioned 0 since then about it being in human food too.
Right. Well, they have no idea, but the company that made Augmentin is really going to do a great job on your urine, on your digestive tract. So yeah, they have no idea that Augmentin is going to make a lot of money for some people, and none of the other drugs you take to get rid of that stuff. Go ahead.
We were saying it takes a week for something to say. Well, the bee story just came up 2 days after you talked about it last Monday. It was Wednesday or Thursday morning on the Yahoo News thing about the bees and the cell phones. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you hear the latest?
Well,
remember? Okay, you were the one that was getting the light. No. Come into the light. I'm scaring you. Don't go to the light. It's a trap. Clyde's gonna get you. No. Remember, you and I were talking here about cell phones and Wi-Fi and computers, and remember, I think it was Jim that yelled out, well, what do? You give him your cell phone, you give him your computer? And I said, hell no, I'm not gonna get my cell phone and my computer. Did you hear the latest story? Another story that we got right was that now, not only are the bees being killed by cell phones, but your children are actually developing cancers and strange diseases because of Wi-Fi smog. That is cool. Wi-Fi smog. That's like something Godzilla fights. Godzilla versus Wi-Fi fog. It's like some big ugly, and what it is it's the soup of all that information and all those radio waves and microwaves hitting you and bombarding you, and it basically is wearing people down. And so people are getting, they're thinking that maybe it's responsible for things like fibromyalgia, lupus, cancer, lupus, fibromyalgia, all those things are increasing now. They're increasing at an alarming rate, and they don't know what to do about it. So, and remember we were talking about that last week. That was one of the last things we talked about.
I was thinking maybe, electromagnetic in your heart too, your heart rhythms, it could affect that over the long term, for long
Sure.
use of microwave or
Sure, I mean, the electro fields we were talking about before and how they're affecting us. I mean, they affect you whether you know it or not. And we have all these other outside influences that are affecting you as well. And that's why there are people that feel like there are ghosts, and they feel uneasy, and they feel worked up, and they feel tired. And, we're up, we're down, we're sideways, we're around, and then we start seeing people shooting up places. And I was talking just earlier. April is not even over yet. The shooting is just the beginning. April is the time for Aries. It's the time for Mars. And I'm going to talk about that in just a bit.
Waco and Columbine.
Waco, Columbine, Hitler, what else? Oklahoma City,
Ruby Ridge.
Ruby Ridge, all that stuff. All happened in April, into May. The reason why, and I'll tell you why this happens allegedly. You don't believe hocus and pocus, then fine. We're going to take a little hocus and pocus moment. According to hocus and pocus people, there is a time called the time of Aries, which happens in April, kind of hovering into May. There's also Beltane that starts at the 1st of May, which is supposed to be this high holy satanic holiday. And so a lot of people believe that all this stuff goes on because the devil's pissed. But see, the truth of the matter is that all of this stuff takes place in the spring because Mars has its greater power at that time. Mars has its greater power at that time, and so the sign of Mars is, of course, Aries. Aries is a representation of the goat. The goat or the ram is the symbol of the firstborn, and the firstborn are the ones that are affected the most by the Aries symbol. Blood is shed because, of course, it all goes back to the time of Moses, right? That it happened in the time of Aries that the angel of death came down and started killing people. And what did they put on the doors? They put ram's blood on the doors to keep the angel of death from coming through. That was all a big symbolic thing. It was all symbolic of Aries. The firstborn was killed. All about Aries, the firstborn. The whole idea of Isaac and Abraham, the same symbol. Goes up, puts the kid on the altar, takes the knife, angel tells them don't do it, they look over and there's a ram in the thicket. What does the ram represent? Sacrifice, they sacrifice the ram, la-di-da-di-da. Isn't any wonder that the guy who was found dead at Virginia Tech University, who blew his face off after killing 32 people, had Ismail Axe written on his arm? Now, how many people know the significance of Ismail Axe? Ismail is Ishmael. In the Muslim version of that story, Ismail and Ibrahim, not Abraham and Isaac, but Ishmael and Ibrahim were the ones involved, and there was an axe used. And what they did is they used the axe to basically go after the idols, and they knocked out statues. But they wanted to find a sacrifice. What was there waiting for them? A ram. The ram was sacrificed, representing what? The sign of Aries, the sign of Mars, the bringer of war, the bringer of bloodshed, the bringer of sacrifice. We are living in a time, in this time, in April into May, is a time for these things to happen. For some reason, they say April is the cruelest month, and there's a reason for that, because the spring brings with it strange fruit. The spring brings with it death. The spring brings with it people losing it and just going crazy. It just so happens, if you go through history, that it's like that. It's some coincidence, I don't know why. And if you don't believe in hocus and pocus, then this is all bullshit, and you can say that I'm full of it. But hocus and pocus dictate that this stuff is real. The only difference now is, according to some hocus and pocus people, is that Mars is not coming at us, it's going away from us. So with Mars going away from us in the time of Aries, there's something you need to be aware of. If Mars is coming towards you, that means you're in good favor of Mars. That means that you're going to benefit from war. When Mars comes towards you in your chart, you're going to benefit from war, you're going to benefit from crisis, you're going to benefit from all kinds of turmoil. That means you're in good stance. When a war happens, you benefit from it. You make money, you do things that get you in that position. When Mars leaves, however, when it's going away from you, you don't benefit from war anymore. The person that declares the war, that's benefiting from the war, starts to lose from the war. So what you're going to start to see now is you're going to start to see more and more people demanding that the violence and the bloodshed stop. But it's no longer going to be, people in politics saying it. The people themselves, the internal nucleus of the consensus, is finally going to rise up and say something important. And those who have been silenced by the war, who haven't benefited from the war, are now going to benefit. Because they're going to be the ones that have been saying all along, stop the violence, stop the war, and then something is going to happen where they will attempt to do some sort of a power struggle or power hold, and the people will rebel.
Let's hope so.
It will. The reason why is because the people in power know this. And we all know that in history, violence always serves the king well. Always. They always tend to create some violent act to get the people all worked up for the king to make a law or to change the way we live. We had an event just last Monday, the Virginia Tech shootings. We had an event last Monday, the Virginia Tech shootings, and who, and you need to know what, who, and why did it happen, what really happened, and why did it happen, who benefits? The king always benefits in something like this. Because what is it that the power really wants from you? They want you to lay down your swords and make them into plowshares. Am I right? Now always remember what happens to those who take their swords and make them into plowshares. They end up plowing for those who forgot to make their weapons into plowshares. You see? And nobody wants to plow for those sons of bitches who have the guns. And they will fight to keep them. You see, when you have 32 people die, and when you take a look at what it's beginning to do, it's beginning to stir up that anger again. And having Ismail axe on a Korean boy's arm after he allegedly shot those 32 people sends a message. Whether that message is that he was Muslim or that somebody wanted you to believe he was Muslim is the point. And I'll give you a point of that. Does anybody remember when I was talking here, I guess it was back in February 12th, around that area. What happened in Salt Lake City around February 12th, February 14th? Anybody remember?
All shooting.
There was a mall shooting, exactly. It was at Trolley Square Mall. It made the news. It was a huge story. It kind of went in the memory hole. A kid from Sarajevo shot up Trolley Square with a .38 and a shotgun. What's that? He said he's Korean. He's not listening, is he? He was see, this guy, he watches the news and he only remembers just what he's told tomorrow or the day before. This guy was a Bosnian. He shot up Trolley Square. There was actually a cell phone that caught the event on tape. The guy got an undisclosed sum of money for that, but the funny thing was that anybody know John Gibson, right? He's that son of a bitch on Fox, right? John Gibson starts saying, you hear that in that video? What is that kid saying? Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. He says, I hear it, don't you hear him say Allah Akbar? So he convinced a whole group of people that this kid said Allah Akbar when he never said Allah Akbar when he was shooting the people there at Trolley Square. He was Muslim. He was a Muslim, but he never said Allah Akbar when he did it. The police even came forward and said, we've analyzed the tape, we've analyzed the audio from the tape. We do not hear it. The only people that are saying it are Fox News. So what do we determine from that? What we determine is that Fox News was trying to manufacture hatred because of a shooting. When you have 5 people gunned down at a Trolley Square Mall, I don't think there are many Muslims that are declaring war on Mormons.
Why the hell not?
I just don't see it, okay? So when Gibson tried that, it didn't work. It just didn't work because people thought, nah, bullshit. This Ismail Axe thing, though, is really taking off. Did you know that when Ismail Axe was first talked about in the manifesto and finding that kid, it was the biggest searched word on the internet? Because people wanted to find out its meaning. They didn't know what it meant. And if they just looked in the Quran, they would have known what it meant. Because we don't read the Quran because that's the evil book. We don't read the Quran because those Satan damn sons of bitches there in the Middle East read that horrible Quran. It's that great book with a pretty name. Ever read it? It's called the Quran. Spelled with a Q, sometimes a K. It's a hard book, but it's fun. You can find out what your enemy thinks. And all they want to do is kill Americans. That's what it says right there in their book, the Quran. Spelled with a Q, sometimes with a K. It'll kill you. K, kill, K, Quran. Oh, shit! My God. But see, if people pay attention, they know what's trying to be done here. But see, they're having a hard time being cerebral with the American people. See, they failed in their mission. They should have made that Korean kid brown, then he would have made it. If he was brown, looked more like a Middle Eastern guy, it would have worked. But no, who's ever going to believe that a Korean is going to be a Muslim? I don't know. And they all look the same to us, don't they? They all look the same. Either they're brown, they all look the same, or they're Asian and they all look the same, or they're Mexican and they all look the same, because Americans don't have time to take the time to recognize people's faces. We don't have the time to recognize people's languages. We don't have the time to recognize people's cultures, because we're the rulers of the roost. But that's all going to change. Why? Because Mars is in retrograde now. Going away from America. The internal struggle comes up to the top. We see blacks killing whites, whites killing blacks, Asians killing everyone else. Civil war in the country. People fighting for food, fighting for resources, fighting for water, fighting for all of that. Why? Because they think they need it more than you do. Gasoline, $3.16 a gallon in Beaverton today. When is it going to get to the point where people are going to stop driving their vehicles? Never? What? Huh? But you know what? One day, you're going to want to get gasoline so bad that you'll either steal it or you'll kick somebody's ass for it. Because it's resource depletion management, people. It's your resource depleted, and what are you going to do to get that resource? No meat because it's tainted, no gas because it's too expensive, no water because it's been pissed in, or it's been contaminated by some terrorist attack.
No toilet paper because Sheryl Crow.
No toilet, yeah, no toilet paper because Sheryl Crow said you wiped your ass, it hurts global warming. Good job, Jim.
Did she really say that?
Yes.
Yes, of course she did. Yes, she did. Jim, you know the whole story? Get up and tell the story. I think it's pretty funny.
Okay, after her run-in with Karl Rove, she makes a statement that we should have some sort of law or whatnot limiting people to one sheet of toilet paper after every time you take a crap. In order to save the resources. Personally, you know, if you see the size of Sheryl Crow's mouth, maybe I just should have to take a dump in her mouth and she can clean me up with her tongue.
No, here's what you do. Here's what you do. Do you have a napkin? That's pretty cool. No, I want to. Let me see.
Oh, she's okay. Oh, by the way, she has also designed a clothing line that has removable hanging things where you can blow your nose or whatnot, and then stuff in your pocket and add more.
I don't know if you guys have seen this. My father taught it to me about how you conserve paper when you're doing television. You just kind of like, you do this.
I've seen this one before.
Yeah, but I don't think the internet's seen it. This is like folding the dollar bill in a 20, right?
No, they'll stick the finger
Well, the internet hasn't seen this. Well, I dropped one to clean my fingernail with. But anyway, you then put your finger in here like this. Then you wipe like this. And then you take it and you do this. And then you, well, I dropped it, but then you clean the fingernail out like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for you kids who don't have fathers that went to war, that's what they used to do in Vietnam. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what they do, wear upper bodies. All right. But you see, everybody has their agenda to push with this. When we need to remember that it's not about you and what you're doing wrong, it's about what they want you to think you're doing wrong, because they're mounting that attack against you. I always tell people, no blue state, no red state, no Republican, no Democrat, it's the state against you. And it's going to be even more that way as they're making all these draconian laws, gun control laws, all these other laws we're going to be putting on the books to try and prevent you from being a nuisance to yourself. And if we fight each other, and we can't seem to, and if our American troops and our American police officers can't control you, they'll bring in foreign governments to come and control you, and they don't feel bad about shooting you. They don't feel bad about shooting you at all. And that's been the biggest worry of all, right? The biggest slippery slope of all is whether or not that's really going to happen. Whether or not that will be your new world order. And then people wake up and go, wait a minute, I didn't want that. I didn't want that universal police force stepping into my place. I don't want them bringing a rule of control here. Block the borders. Too late. Too late. You can't block the borders now. They're already getting in, they're already causing trouble, and according to a lot of people, they stink, they bring their diseases. You see, we need to understand, okay? Those guys coming over the border are just as much a slave as you are. And, that's true. And if we build the walls higher, doesn't matter who doesn't get in, it's a matter of who's not going to get out. You. You're not going to get out of your little gated community called the United States of America. Barbed wire, cinder block, and all that is going to keep you in.
Well, not to mention passports.
Passports, pill boxes, you name it. Welcome to Berlin, people. You took the wall down just to equal the playing field. The wall's going to go back up again. You're all going to be here. And see, all of your hatred and all your fear and all of your paranoia is going to get you into a position where they're not going to care. They're going to want to put a pill in you to get you to calm the fuck down, and then they're going to have you goose step right behind them into the camps if you don't behave. And I'm not over exaggerating when I say that. It's beginning to look like that now. And it doesn't take long to figure out where it's going. Go ahead, Bob.
Just let us remember that the Pentagon has stated that they want to start taking people from overseas and put them in our army. Offer them city. They have open recruiting centers all over South America. They have. That's what they've done. They are starting. A significant percentage of the people who die in Iraq are not United States citizens who are in our army, and they aren't counted in the totals. You know, so it's happening.
Oh yeah, it's happening. See, I sound crazy. I don't care. I've got 3 weeks on my favor saying if shit was going to go down, it's gone down. I don't care how crazy I sound, people. I just don't. Because I've got it all recorded. I got it all on a CD. I got it all on a server. I got it all on the internet. I got it everywhere you want. You just give me some sort of a chronicle area where I can go, I'll find it for you. This shit is happening, and you know what? Crazy people like me, you either listen to me or you reject what I have to say. It's your option, it's your choice. But I do know that a lot of weird stuff is happening, and it really blows me away to say something about it. Go ahead, Brian, you say something? Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that it's my understanding that we have 150,000 or so there in Iraq, that there's another 150,000 that are Blackwater mercenaries. I mean, that's nuts. You know, it's exactly what what Shinseki said we needed was twice what we have. We have them there, but we're paying them billions of dollars more than we're paying our own guys who are living in poverty here.
Great segue. Stay there. Stay. Don't go away. Don't go away. No. All right. Talking about the Blackwater suicide squads and all those other people, right?
Yeah.
Talking about all those. Where do they train those people?
I don't know.
School of the Americas, right?
America's.
Oh,
School
yeah,
of the Americas,
School of the
right?
Americas. Yeah.
Who was the guy that headed up the School of the Americas and created the Contras and all these other suicide people?
Gates.
No, not Gates. But
John.
I don't know. Negroponte, the
John
Squad
Negroponte.
man.
Yeah. John Negroponte is what now? He is the ambassador to where? He's the intelligence czar and the ambassador to?
Iraq.
Iraq, very good. And who worked for John Negroponte for the Iraq Reconstruction Project? Cho Swee's sister.
No.
Yes, the guy who shot all those kids up at Virginia Tech. Did you know that? Did you know that?
No.
She worked for John Negroponte, the guy who's responsible for all that bullshit with the School of the Americas, the suicide squads, the train killers, the program killers, all go and shoot up things. You know what his son's doing, Nicholas? You know what Nicholas Negroponte does? He works for MIT. You know what he does at MIT? He puts electromagnetic chips in people and programs them to be robots, robot killers for the cause, people.
That's lovely.
So, we can connect the dots, and I know that 5 degrees, I'm like 3 degrees away from Kevin Bacon. Doesn't make me know Kevin Bacon, but I sure as hell could call him if I wanted to. Okay? Put me in an IDBM search, you'll see that. Clyde Lewis knew, Ron Jeremy knew, so-and-so knew Kevin Bacon. You can do that. Doesn't mean I know him, but I can find him. And I bet you that if you connected the dots all the way to his sister, Negroponte, the guy who was involved with creating those programmed suicide killers in the South, in South America, Central America, I bet you'd find that's where our good friend was trained.
Just like Padilla.
Just like Padilla, just like Manuel Noriega, just like Leopoldo Galtieri from Argentina. All trained at the School for the Americas, a terrorist school operating at Fort Benning, Georgia, United States of America. Salute.
Which is also where we train our infantry.
Pretty good. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, I just want to tell everybody that I was able to help Clyde recently with an article that details all of this. You can see this on his MySpace. Tell your MySpace, Clyde?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember.
Oh, you know what? It's myspace.com/Ground Zero Radio. It's in my blog.
Okay,
It's
Ground
called
Zero
Ismail
Radio.
Acts. I detail all this stuff in it. It's really amazing. Negroponte is the guy who has created all this ugliness. How many people also are aware that Virginia Technical hires, their best hires are for the CIA and NASA, the NASA. And how many people heard what happened at NASA the other day?
Disgruntled employee.
Yeah, another disgruntled employee. He didn't shit his pants in a diaper, though we were hoping, but he did shoot people. And you know what? I found out something else. Here's something weird. You know that Charlie Square shooting again that I talked about? After that Bosnian kid started shooting up that mall, they asked his father, was he that type of kid? He said, no, my son, I believe, was mind controlled. Somebody put a gun in his hand and told him to shoot. He came right out and said that to the paper. If you don't believe me, you can look at Wikipedia, you can look it up on KSL television. He told the news media, CNN, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, he said, my son was mind controlled by a group of people. They handed him a gun and told him to shoot. Now, after that shooting took place, there was another shooting at a naval yard where? In Philadelphia. Guess what that naval yard was? It was the place where they did the Philadelphia experiment. Which was an experiment done with what? Electromagnetic frequencies to render a battleship invisible. And that shit is also being done at places like Block Island in New York. Montauk in New York. Montauk is where they had that bird kill. All these birds just fell out of the sky and died. You can look it up, it's on the internet. I even reported it. And in Virginia. Aaron, why don't you get up and tell people what you found out about Virginia Tech University? It's an amazing story.
I forgot the company's name, but the Virginia Tech dorms where the shooter where he lived was 0.8 miles for a microwave power testing plant that 6 months ago earned a contract with the Department of Homeland Security to focus more on microwave powering of weapons.
Isn't that a coincidence? Isn't that a coincidence? Isn't it a coincidence that this kid can unload all this weaponry and get a 60% kill rate? A 60% kill rate. This kid bought his guns a month ago, had a 60% kill rate, and then blew his face off in the end. Anybody read his manifesto or watch it on TV by applause? Anybody? No? Few of you? Okay, there are so many weird things in that manifesto. He was crazy. What do you expect? He actually has a picture, and this is no shit. He took a picture of the clouds. And upon looking at those clouds closely, you see either a black helicopter or some sort of a black thing peering down on him. Why would he say in his recording, you should have killed me when you had the chance? Who was he talking to? You should have killed me when you had the chance. And then he said, and the way you killed my other brothers and sisters. What did he mean by that? Other brothers and sisters with them in a training thing for the DARPA people, Department of Defense, which of course DARPA in Blacksburg is right there. It's called Butt Mountain. You go to Butt Mountain and right there is the DARPA training centers for microwave technologies and mental control combat. And what do they do in that place? They get kids in there and they have them play video games so they can simulate combat. And they drug them to do it, and they do all kinds of things with them to do it. I'm not making this up, you can look it all up. MIT does it too. Nicholas Negroponte has been involved with it at MIT. He has been doing it so he can get simulation and illusion of ESP, being able to read minds. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, you brought up the video games, and I find it very interesting. Okay, one of the hardest hitting, okay, on television now, there's a big push on for all the branches of service, advertising to get people in. But the Army one I found rather interesting is, yeah, they'll send you a bunch of information, and then they'll send you the CD-ROM where you can put it in your computer and play the game.
Did anybody hear how the news called Cho an army of one? They actually called him an army of one.
It's the U.S. Army slogan.
Isn't that odd? They called him an army of one. I thought that was really creepy. And does anybody know that Wikipedia actually had his pictures in a Wikipedia entry? He was wearing marine camouflage. Those pictures have been removed from the internet. Now some people have them and they post them. You got to look for them. But there are pictures of him in marine camouflage. And in the manifesto, you do not see on his arms the words Ismail X. Ismail X, you don't see it. Which makes me wonder if they drew it on him after he died. To cause the same thing they did with this Tolovich guy that killed those people in Utah. They said he yelled, you know, Allah Akbar when he didn't. And so now we have Ismail X on your hand, which means, you know, he must have been Muslim, he read the Quran, etc., etc., etc. It's to generate that mystery and that, well, of course he's a degenerate asshole who wanted to kill a bunch of people. Why would they do that to us? Why would they do it to ourselves? Because always remember, violence serves the king's purposes.
They hate our freedom.
They hate our freedom. Yeah, your kings and your presidents and your rulers hate our freedom. They want freedom, you don't get any. Go ahead.
Really quickly, I wanted to add to the idea that the video games are used for training. Is anybody aware of what the controllers for the guns on the Bradley fighting vehicles and the tanks out in Iraq are right now? What those are modeled on?
Video game.
PlayStation controllers. Doom controllers. And they've got little video screens right in front of those vehicles with the little controllers so you can run through and you can kill people and you can be detached and not think of it as really killing. And this is sick. This is the training that they have set us up for years and years in the past.
It's better than that. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
How many people remember in the Iraq War we'd see all of those bombs going off, we'd see these things fire, and we'd look at them through the gun barrels, and we'd see them in infrared, and we'd see them blow up?
Oh yeah. It looked like a freaking Bugs Bunny cartoon, that missile coming in. I half expected, when I was watching this on CNN, to see a hand come out of the nose cone of that missile and knock on the door before it blew the building to pieces.
Well, here's something you need to know. Most of those weapons were aimed and fired not in Iraq, but in Los Angeles, California, by a video game simulator that basically was beamed from a satellite. The image was beamed from a satellite into space down to the area where they were playing their little game shooting people. So you know what, people? Remember those laser weapons I was telling you about? They exist. And they're using them on Iraqis. And they're using them in Afghanistan. And they're melting cars with these things. And they're removing heads and arms with precision with these things. I'm not kidding you. We are in Star Wars now, and it's happening now, and these laser beams are being used, as I said before, screwing up the weather, screwing with your health. It's happening now. Go ahead.
Jumping back a little, it just occurred to me. Manchurian candidates and the like have triggers. There's no reason why they couldn't be using triggers from the Quran just in case one of them goes nuts with the trigger and decides to write it on his arm.
They keep using that. Also, we had written in this article, who was the guy, Dedman? What was this?
Desmond, Bill
Dedman.
D-E-D-M-A-N.
Bill Dedman is a Pulitzer Prize winning writer. 3 days prior to the shootings in Utah, he put out an article on MSNBC called "The 10 Myths About Shooters," about school shooters. And he put this whole 10 list of myths that people have, like, oh, he just snapped, or oh, we didn't think he was going to do this, or blah, blah, blah. And he puts it all down, And in reality, there was not one article that was that detailed about a shooter since October of 2006. October of 2006 is when his article came out then about shooters. And then Dedman comes out with an article that says, here are the 10 myths about shooters. Then 3 or 4 days later, this Bosnia goes in and shoots up a mall. And then, several months later, we have another foreigner, a Korean kid, South Korean kid, go in and shoot up a school, kill more people.
Only a month and a half.
Only a month and a half, kills more people. And then what does he do? He sends his manifesto to the place where he read the article about the myths about killers. He sent it to NBC. NBC, on the other hand, they show the videos, they show all that stuff, and then immediately they feel a little bit hesitant about showing it anymore. They're frightened to show it, and then in the meantime, we are hearing simultaneously about the basement tapes of Klebold and Harris 8 years from Columbine, so it all comes back to you again. Nice how poetic that happens, isn't it? These shootings all take place right in sequence with the anniversary of Columbine. And then we have to hear about Klebold and Harris, we have to hear about Kip Kinkle, and we have to hear about psychotropic drugs, SSRIs, and how they're a bad combination with kids who are bad, and guns. We hear about gun control again, we hear all about it, because we need to have that going over and over and over again in your brain, because someone's got to do something about it, damn it, because there's a crisis, and we need somebody that has a solution. The solution is taking a steamroller and just rolling it over your guns, and rolling it over you, and paving the New World Order on the bodies of the dead of the old World Order. That is the solution to the problem, and it serves the king well.
What are we going to do to get rid of the king? I'm looking at something else.
What is that? What are we going to do to get rid of the king? Well, we all know what's going on in Vermont right now, don't we? They're already trying to impeach Bush and Cheney, but like I said, impeachment is far too nice. I think we should do more than that. I think we should arrest, try, and maybe hang them, which would be something that would be good, because I think they're treason. It's treason.
Vermont's actually trying harder than that. Vermont is also trying to secede. And they actually have more signatures to push for secession than they do for impeachment in Vermont.
Wow. Let's give Vermont a hand. They're trying to secede. See, and you know, right now, what I'm saying, people will be seeing this out there, they go, that son of a bitch, man, he's a traitor. He's a son of a traitor, man. Such a traitor. Fuck you. I'm not, just because I question my president does not make me a traitor. I think that everything that's been going on right now shows treason and traitor behavior. I think that speaking out of it, I mean, you look at Rosie O'Donnell, she's speaking out about it now, and then they're telling her to be quiet. You see what I'm talking about? That nucleus is going to fragment. Mars pulling away, and all the people that weren't benefiting from the war will start to benefit as the war starts to become less and less important in everybody's lives, and people will wake up from their stupor and realize, oh my God, what were we under? What spell? We were under the spell of Aries. We were under the spell of the bloodlust. We were under the spell of the blue kite. We were under the spell of all of this. We were under the clutch of the MK Ultra mass hypnosis, the mass psychosis. People are now beginning to rebel against rap music. They're beginning to rebel against country music. They're beginning to rebel against all that shit that's a proponent of this type of behavior. They're rebelling against it. Why? Because it doesn't do them any good, and it doesn't serve them. They're seeing Hillary Clinton for what she is, and that's a bitch and a stupid wad that doesn't need to be in the presidency. They're seeing her for what she is. They're seeing politicians for what they are. People who don't have the same morals as you or I that tell us how to live our lives. Fuck them if they're going to go kill in our name. Because I don't murder, I don't kill, and I don't want to be responsible for those people that are dying in the Middle East. I'm not behind it, and I don't support it.
Very limited.
What did you say? Come up to the microphone and say it. I love what you're saying. Well, they got to hear you, buddy. They got to hear you. You're out there in the dark. I can't see because I'm blind. The whole light here is just blinding my eyes. Where have you been?
I don't think any of us in this room give these guys a mandate to wrap themselves around our flag and go over the globe doing what they're doing. It's time to rise up, people. We got to start doing it now. It's time to hold a meeting to discuss the issue and decide what to do at a later date. It's long since passed, I think.
Very good. Give him a hand. Go ahead, Brian. Yeah.
Well, the one candidate who is advocating the development of a Department of Peace, Dennis Kucinich, is also on the verge of introducing articles of impeachment against Cheney. And I'm having a hard time understanding why he would do it against Cheney and not Bush, when if you impeach Cheney, Bush just gets to pick somebody else to be vice president.
But see, I also have a hard time with Dennis Kucinich basically saying he wants gun control. Did you know that gun control is the reason why those kids were killed in Virginia? You know that?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. Let me tell you what happened. Maybe Sarah knows this better than I do. Was it 3 weeks prior to? 3 or 4 weeks prior to the shooting at Virginia Tech, they decided to have a no-tolerance policy of guns on campus. They allowed people who had permits to carry guns on campus, and then they took that away from them just prior to the shooting.
That worked out really well.
Yeah.
They stripped the security officers too.
Yeah, they stripped the security officers as well. Thank you, they did. And they were told to stand down. The Virginia police were told to stand down when the guy was shooting, because the feds said, we'll take care of this. Yeah, the feds took care of it all right. They let their little zombie wannabe go around shooting, and that's how it ended.
Are you saying that you actually subscribe to this idea that if one of the people in the classroom had been carrying, they would have shot the other guy? No.
Fucking way right
no,
into it.
no.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm sorry, but no.
I'm sorry that you disagree.
How about you let me explain?
I will. I didn't say I didn't want to let you explain. I'm just saying I don't agree with you.
Let me explain.
I would have blasted the fucker.
Most people plain old don't carry. People don't carry. The chances of there having been a carrier of a gun in there are very, very slim, even if it was 100% legal.
You're in Virginia, Sarah. We're in Virginia here. We're not in Portland. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I know Oregon.
Well, Virginia. Think about it. What is Virginia? Good old South. They have their guns. They will pack if they have the permits to pack.
Not as many as you think.
I think they do.
They're concealed.
They have the conceal and carry
And
laws.
even so, maybe the guy was good enough to see a gun coming up and hit it with all this military training he's supposed to have had in secret.
What I'm saying is maybe so. That's probably why he was so accurate with the shooting. Who knows? I'm just speculating. I don't have the facts. And besides,
So am
conspiracy
I,
theories are
but,
just theories, right? They're just theories.
I mean, I'm just speculating too. We all are.
Of course we are. We'll never know because we weren't there. The only people that know are dead.
He wasn't that accurate. He's only shooting 3 hours.
He was 60% accurate.
No, it was only 30% accurate.
Where did that come from?
They counted 100 shots fired.
But I thought
He wounded 100.
Yeah, he hit everybody 3 times.
Exactly.
He hit each of them.
Okay,
at least
what can we agree on here? Was it 60, 30, or 20? What was his
We had a
accuracy rate?
60% kill rate.
60% kill rate.
Virtually 100% accuracy rate as far as wounding people. Virtually every bullet he fired hit someone. And to me, that's the biggest mystery of all about this situation. I mean, I'm not a big gun person at all. I fired a gun a few times. And just from my own personal experience, I can't believe this guy he had to have been seriously trained to have done what he did. But yet they're saying in the news media, number one, he never played video games. They can find no information about that. They can find nowhere that he ever got trained.
What happened to the idea that his friend said he played Counter-Strike and nobody's business?
That apparently has been totally disavowed now by the investigators. They said there's no evidence whatsoever.
Why did he file the gun serial numbers when he had the plans to the Death
Those are
Star?
unanswered questions. I'm simply saying that this is a great mystery, and to me it's a real clue that there's far more to this than we think there is.
One more time, how many people know the government's involved because they always find the plans of the Death Star on Darth Vader's body? They found the receipt for his guns on his body, and they also found a note of all the bomb threats that happened at the school 2 weeks prior to. Somebody had that note too, they found that.
Now is Miss America 1944 wrapped up into this?
Wow, yeah, I heard about that. Miss America 1944 shot 2 burglars in her house or something?
No, she shot out their tires.
She shot out their tires. Go ahead, Paige.
That's some fine shooting there. Look, the fact is that the reports that I heard of of the people that had run autopsies on the victims were that there were at least 3 shots in the majority of the victims. Now, I don't know about you, but I do the math. I come up with 99 bullets and the one that went into his head when they said that there were about 100 rounds fired. That's a 100% hit rate. This kid knew what he was doing. He walked into the classrooms. They said that he lined his victims up. He stood there and he shot them and he reloaded and he shot more. My question, and this is my question, my one question to the world out there, my one question to America, that I haven't heard anyone ask. Why in the fuck does an immigrant with a green card, resident alien status, have the right, not a citizen of the United States, this is a resident alien, why does he have the right to walk into a store and buy a gun?
Because the law says you can.
Because the law says you can, right?
The Constitution guarantees those rights for citizens of the United States.
Not really.
Not resident aliens.
Does anybody want?
Yeah, fuck
You
me.
want to say something?
Fuck me. Fuck 33 people dead because a resident alien got guns.
Hold on, Paige. Now you know that all it says is that we're organized militia. It makes no acknowledgement as to citizenship. And according to the law of the land, a resident alien in good standing may purchase a firearm legally, which he did. If you have a problem with that, then you have to go after the lawmakers to change the law. But he broke no laws constitutionally, federally, state, or local.
Yes, he did.
Wait, okay, now let's get the debate up here on the microphone. I don't want you guys sitting here in the bleachers. You too, if you want to get the debate. I don't want
The
people
law
to
he
be debating up
broke, the
there.
law he broke was that the guy was certified as mentally unstable. And the Virginia law restricts anybody who's mentally unstable, especially since he'd been had been put in a mental institution against his will. So he shouldn't have been given a weapon, but there was no provision for that in the law and in the background check.
But we've got insurgents that are coming into this country legally through student visas that have the same right to go out and purchase firearms. I mean, they arrested a bunch of people because they didn't freaking show up on campus in Minnesota on their student visas.
But you're talking about gun control.
Hey,
You think we should have controls on that sort of
I
thing?
think we should have a few more laws on the books to prevent this kind of shit from coming down from people that are not citizens of the United States.
Does anybody want to challenge that?
I mean, look at what they did with the fucking Patriot Act. I've got a friend from India that worked for IBM in Minnesota who was told that he could not live. He was here legally on a visa. He was told he couldn't live more than fucking half a mile from his job. And he had to move out of his home so that he wouldn't live more than half a mile from his job because of the fucking Patriot Act. Where the fuck is the legislation in the Patriot Act that actually protects us? Where is it? It didn't fucking work this time. Either stop taking my goddamn rights away or write some shit that'll actually protect people. That's all I'm trying to say.
Laws don't protect people.
Laws don't protect you. Have a beer.
The problem with the resident alien getting a gun is that anyone who gets a gun will get a gun. They'll get someone else to get the gun for them. You'll just get a gun. You'll do anything you want, your little heart desires, you'll do. You'll figure out how to get it done if you want it bad enough. I mean, that's.
have somebody alive.
But see, Paige, this is the thing, is you're falling right from this, and I'll tell you what he's falling for. The guy in Utah was from Bosnia. The guy in Virginia was from South Korea. They're both resident aliens in this country. They both came here. What about all the other people that have had guns? What about Cleve Bolton Harris? What about Timothy McVeigh? He was all bred American, flat-topped and everything. What I say, no God?
Didn't we have people that were left alive that were held accountable for those things? Cleveland's
Yeah.
girlfriend,
Well, they were all
guns.
But see, that's the thing, though. If the people are creating these monsters for the sake of creating a police state mentality, we can take a look at both races, any kind of race. What if there's a black man that shot up Virginia Tech?
I don't
Well,
care
we'd be
about
having a different conversation, wouldn't we?
I want a fucking scapegoat.
Well, you already got a scapegoat. Go ahead, Bill.
As far as the internet, he didn't buy his guns on eBay. He didn't buy ammunition on eBay. He bought ammo clips.
Yeah, you
on
bought
eBay.
rubber duckies on eBay. 3 fucking dozen rubber duckies. What's all that about?
Clyde, if he bought it illegally, why do you think?
Go ahead.
Why did he take the serial numbers off?
What's that? Go ahead, get him on.
Why did he file the serial numbers off? Even if he bought them illegally?
See, that's what I want to know. If you buy it illegally, why did he file the serial numbers off? Why did he carry the plans to the Death Star on his person? Why is it that they stood down? Why is it that we find out that sister works for Negroponte?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. We don't need more laws. When the hell did a law ever stop anything?
It's true. Good. Yeah, give her a hand.
Let's get rid of the law then. The law only stops the law abiding.
Well, get on the microphone, please. I can't keep stressing it. Either you're going to get on the microphone and say something, or I'm going to ignore you.
Okay, Sarah, the law only stops the law abiding. Those who will break the law will break the law no matter what.
Right. You're right. You're so right.
No arguments.
They're going to break the law whether they do it or not. But you see here, when they make all these draconian laws, see, the laws didn't protect those kids in Virginia. They didn't protect anybody. Your police can't even protect you. If somebody's going to get in and shoot, they're going to shoot. And if they have knowledge and training, and there's knowledge and training is coming from your own government, the bullets that you're going to get are the best bullets your tax dollars have paid for. You know, 9/11 was the best disaster this country could have ever paid for, and the other countries that were involved paid for. It leveled the playing field. We are now a war zone. We will be even more a war zone if we continue the violence and if we continue the triggering. Everything that you see on television right now, most everything you see on television, is based on nightmare and wanting. What am I talking about? All your TV shows about police and hospitals and everything, that's the nightmare. Disasters, that's the nightmare. They constantly be met in your house. The wanting is the reality TV. People willing to humiliate themselves for money or some sort of fame. In other words, we are all rats, captive rats, trapped in a maze, fighting for the cheese. And the cheese is getting less and less plentiful. So eventually it's going to be dog eat dog, man eat man, and it's going to get that way unless we pay attention and start saving resources instead of wasting them. Go ahead.
The laws are...
We blur the lines between celebrity and politician. And after they're done being celeb politician, they'll be able to market books and lectures. It's getting to the point now, it's kind of like putting the Christmas decorations out in April in hopes that people remember, oh yeah, we gotta buy Christmas presents. It's the same principle. And I don't know why people aren't seeing it for what it is. It's all parading these clowns out there. And pretty soon, by the time the election goes around, no one's gonna give a shit. No one's gonna care. I'm already to that point where I don't give a shit.
America's closed.
Yes. Go ahead.
I was just going to say this is going to be the first multi-billion-dollar election. That's enough said.
Sure.
It is.
Oh, they'll spend billions of dollars of the taxpayers' money and corporate funding. But again, the point is why is it going on? It's for pretext and distraction because there are some important decisions that are being made. And the illusion is that there is a democratic process playing itself out. A lot of Americans say, oh yeah, this is where land of the free, where we get involved in elections. And oh yeah, who's going to win, just like a horse race. But the fact is that it's a very, very cynical reality. I mean, they did the same thing in the ex-Soviet Union. They bring out the candidates, they have the clowns, they have the circuses and the bread, but it's all just a distraction from what's really going on.
They did the same thing in Argentina after their terrorist war. They did the same thing. They brought in a candidate that everybody loved, who wasn't a Peronist. He didn't last long. And then what happened? Their economy went in the shitter, and they had to redo their money all over again. Because they thought that this guy would be a Band-Aid for all of their problems. The problems we have here in America are not going to be taken care of with a quick fix. The illusion that we're living in, it's not going to be gone overnight. The illusion that America is the same as it was after 9/11 is a fallacy. It's not the same country. And the only way we can bring it back to the way it was is to eliminate that programming, that fear programming we had running through our heads. And being nice to people, they're still having a hard time getting along with the program. They're not nice to you. They're not nice to you when you try to tell the truth and they try to shut you down and you hear the eyes rolling around in their heads.
We discount our message, we're no better than they are.
Well, once again, I will tell you, we rise up for the following. We rise up for this. We want to stand for the spirit and the practice of constitutional law in the United States of America. As long as you're standing up for the presence, as long as you stand up for the spirit and the presence of constitutional law in America, you eliminate all of those people that want to cause trouble with your protests. You're not protesting, you're supporting. No longer do we protest war, we basically support the law which makes that war ipso facto illegal. You understand? It's fucking illegal. So if you support constitutional law, if you support the way the laws go, what our president's doing is illegal. Traitors. If you support the present and spirit of constitutional law, then everything you're seeing happening around you, you don't have to protest it. You have to say, I support law. Not draconian PNAC bullshit. Not your Patriot Act bullshit. The constitutional law that was set forth by our forefathers, which made America the United States of America, that everybody believes they're fighting for, when in reality, they're fighting and supporting a goddamn lie.
Right, and let's show them too, it's a sense of unity. We all should be hanging our flags, American flags at half-mast, stand upside down.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, this Chow guy, we basically manifest anything we want in our lives. And this Chow guy, it was reported that he showed all the signs of someone who was destined to do what he did. Yet the signs were chosen to be ignored. I wonder why.
Because we don't pay attention. It's got to be on the screen before we even pay attention to it. What we're doing here is not going to be paid attention to unless it's on the screen. Even then, when we're put on the screen, it takes someone to criticize or otherwise malign to make it look like we're all a bunch of cartoon idiots here. But the internet doesn't lie. Hopefully, when we put our stuff online and they see what's going on, there are people responding, they're liking what they see. Very happy that that's the case. People are responding well. We seem to be getting the news before everybody else does, as long as it gets on the internet in time. We are scooping those who are making the news. Because we see the trends. It's not psychic ability, it's nothing. We see the trends. We use hocus and the pocus sometimes, because sometimes the hocus and the pocus is all we got. And when I'm talking about hocus and pocus, I'm talking about prayer, I'm talking about getting on your knees and asking God if this is all how it's supposed to be. I'm talking about checking Nostradamus, I'm talking about checking your book of Revelation, I'm talking about reading your Quran, that funny little word that can be Q to you or can be K, kill, kill, kill. I'm telling you, check the numbers, check everything. Check it all. All the hocus and the pocus, all of that which they believe as well as what you believe. Find that happy medium and there you find ground zero. It's there. Go ahead.
Okay, to make a comment, there was a gentleman that, had mentioned, put your flag at half-mast or upside down. Well, did you know that people in the military are not allowed to fly their flags at half-mast for those soldiers that have been lost, but now they've just been asked to fly at half-mast for Virginia? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
I just heard about that on my way in here.
Yeah. The president's declared it, so it's law. Why? Why are they asking you to fly those flags at half-mast for kids that were killed?
Why is the president attending the memorial services of kids that killed in Virginia when he still, as we know, has never gone to a military funeral?
He never has time for anything else.
Give her a hand
what?
on that.
He
Give her a
that's
hand on
hard.
that. Give her a hand for that one. President's never attended a funeral for our fallen comrades in Iraq or Afghanistan, but he shows up for these kids who were gunned down. What's the reason? What has changed? I want to know if anyone can answer this question, because this is the thing that convinces me that there's a conspiracy going on or some cover-ups going on. Why is it that NBC decided to air the tapes and the manifesto of this killer when the basement tapes of Clyde and Harris are still under wraps, and they will be for a long time? What has changed from 8 years ago to now? What was the purpose of showing those videos, showing that manifesto? Why was it done? Why was it done? I'll tell you why it was done.
Ratings.
No, has nothing to do with ratings, because they didn't impress anybody by doing it. The reason why they did it was because if you show it to people, it becomes more real. The same reason why if you loop 9/11 over and over again, it rekindles that hate. The same reason why the timing was so perfect that we had a kid shoot up a mall, and then another kid shoot up a school, and then we go back to Clyde and Harris, and we're reminded once again, oh, by the way, that music you're listening to will make you want to kill. That TV show you're watching will make you want to kill. Those video games you're playing will make you want to kill. That little book called the Bible is going to make you want to kill. The Quran is going to make you want to kill. We're all being programmed to be killers. It's just that each trigger is an individual one. And we all have our point where we go, snap.
Or Beethoven's Ninth Symphony will make you want to kill, according to Stanley Kubrick.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm singing in the room. You guys have seen Kubrick. You guys have seen how it's done. It can be done. You think I'm crazy for saying so, but yeah, it can be done. And each and every one of us can fall victim to that kind of programming. Why is it? How many people are familiar with the movie Forbidden Planet? It's an old film. Remember who the Krell were? They were a group of people that were very, 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 very advanced. And they made this machine called the Morbius machine. And this machine, what they do is they hook up to it, and they would be able to manifest with their brains whatever they thought would appear. And everything good they would have materialize around them. And then one day they didn't bank on the idea. They didn't bank on the idea that the nightmares would start creeping up. They started creating something called the monsters of the id. And those monsters attack the Krell and wipe them completely out. I see that. They wipe themselves out with the very thought and the very idea of those things. And they play it over and over again to their enjoyment. How many Krell machines do we hook up to every day that tap into our nightmares, that reflect upon us the dark abyss? The idea that we look at the abyss long enough, it will come back and get us. The monsters of the id will attack us. You see, we hook in, but can we take out? We hook off and do something else. Why do you think they call it television programming? Radio programming, television programming. It is programming. Who needs MK Ultra when the entire nation can be MK Ultra with one movie like The Matrix, or one movie like, I don't know, Freddy Krueger, or something like that? You know, Wes Craven once told me that he wondered if The Night Stalker was his creation because Freddy Krueger came out before him. And people like Kenneth Anger, when they created Lucifer Rising, believed that if he was to bless his films, it would make them change people into killers or wanting to believe in Satan or wanting to believe in whatever. You ever wonder if maybe Hollywood, the very thing that the magicians made their wands out of, is significant of the magic they create and the spell they cast you under? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? With all the stuff that's been going on and all the people saying video games, movies, what have you, that's what causes this. Right? Makes you wonder. Can you say something? Richard, go ahead.
Hello. Hi. You know, the system is wrong. The whole thing is set up to, you know, put us into a way of thinking where, you know, there's a lot of things going on, but the idea of fear and, you know, solve the symptom instead of the real problem. You know, they go, we need more psychiatric care, we need better control on weapons, we need this and we need that because of some guy that goes and blows away a bunch of kids, and it's heartfelt, it's serious stuff, but it doesn't, you know, it only treats a symptom. sort of like if you have pneumonia, you just try to treat the fever, not the rest of the problem. So the world is now getting to where it's not even, a nationalistic thing. The corporations are so global that they have no alliance to a national prestige or whatever. Therefore, the idea of the Patriot Act and trying to protect us from the rest of the world, it just engenders fear and gets us to the place that we're afraid of doing almost anything. And we'd say, well, somebody should protect us, somebody should protect us. And, the only thing we have to do to protect ourselves is begin treating others the way we'd like to be treated.
Give him a hand for that, that's true.
I forget the name of the fellow from Scotland, George somebody, who really spoke out against the war in the early days. And he said that terrorists are like mosquitoes that are bred in the swamp of poverty and injustice and hopelessness, and that if we drain that swamp, there'll be no more terrorist mosquitoes. It's because of the way we treat the rest of the world we have all these problems. And the way we treat our own people as well.
I was having this discussion the other night, I'll wrap things up, because Tony Green's coming up. Give him a hand, yeah. One of the things that I was contemplating the other day about 9/11, he's bringing up 9/11, what it did. If 9/11 was an act of war, usually if the compound is attacked, they keep attacking the compound until it falls to its knees. We've never had that. I mean, there should have been 9/11s and 9/12s. That's exactly right. We're the 9/12s. As your government, we're the 9/12s. Not that I want any 9/12s to happen, but there were no 9/12s, there were no 9/13s, there haven't been any, 9-whatevers here in this country since 9/11. Why? Because 9/11 did what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to change the thought of everyone in the United States. My thoughts didn't change. I still see the same things going on, but they take liberties now, and they don't even have to hide them anymore. Otherwise, they will hang that 9/11 over your head as some sort of threat. They will basically hang the Muslim above you as a threat. The black man is a threat. The Asian is a threat. The foreigner is a threat. We all have threats knocking at our doors, and they're knocking at our doors every day. Even inside of each and every one of us, there's something growing in us, whether it be a cancer, an embolism, a heart attack. You never know, and it'll take you just like that. But that doesn't stop us from smoking, it doesn't stop us from drinking, it doesn't stop us from taking a little pot, it doesn't stop us from having, too much of it, but we do it anyway. Because we don't think about our own deaths unless they put them on television and they show it to you in a blaze of glory. Unless they show it to you with the guy holding guns. Unless they show it to you with people being drug out of schools. Because you don't want to be that person. You're very happy killing yourself slowly, but if somebody kills you quicker, you don't want to see that happen, so you're willing to protect you. But see, they won't stop at stopping the shooters from getting you. They will stop you from smoking. They will stop you from doing this. They will stop you from doing that. They will make it mandatory. And pretty soon we'll be one big sterile nation being trapped. We will be that prison disguised as an amusement park. More so now than we are already. Go ahead, Steve.
So yeah, I want to go back to the mention of video games and how there's missiles and weapons originated out of development. Why don't we just do it all by way of online gaming? People seem to love to do that. There's all this online gaming. Why not just fight all the battles just like that?
I was wondering about that. Why don't we just do online games?
Yeah.
I think Steve should get the Peace Prize for that. Yeah. Stevie, Nobel Peace Prize. What do you say?
I mean, if you want them to feel like they're not really killing, then it's just all a computer game. Keep it just all computer game.
Right.
Just desensitize everybody. Especially when you send them a congratulatory letter saying, you killed 1,000 people this month. You get 5 gold stars.
Something like that. It's a good idea. Good idea.
There we go. Yes, but that was already done in an episode of Star Trek. Don't you remember? Where the computer says 500 million of your people just died. We marched them into the disintegration chambers, and they happily go because it's their duty.
Ender's Game. Yeah, Ender's Game. That's another one. That's a good book. Ender's Game. I just want to say that Tony Green's coming up next, and I want to let you all know that the crowds get bigger here at Ground Zero. I'm very happy that they do. The reason why is because I think that this is the best place to be, because you get the stuff first before anybody else tells it to you here at Ground Zero Lounge. It all starts from the people. The Zeitgeist is created by the people. The thought basically controls the outcome. If we're informed and we see this happening, we basically pay attention to what's going on. We can be active, proactive, and we can change these things, maybe even avert the situation if we're paying attention. I wish there were more people that gathered in bars like this to discuss the problems of the day. It doesn't happen anywhere. People just want to click on the television. There's still people that do that. They'll click on the TV just to hear what the people in the nice suits have to say that are paid by these people that are telling you what to be afraid of. I think we all have our own fears, we have our own beliefs, and we share them here at Ground Zero Lounge, and I thank you once again for coming out. I want to remind you, Day Called X is going to be at the Ross Island Grocery. Come on by and see me a question and answer. There'll be burger cake for everybody. It'll be a lot of fun. It's a good food, by the way. Burger cake's amazing. I also really want to thank all of you who came out to the Rick Emerson party. That was a lot of fun, too. We'll see you next week at Ground Zero Lounge. Thank you so much.